For me, I can't. For you, you can't. Skateboard. Yeah. No, because but for me, I only have yeah, but the it says that I like the other stuff to open. It has something in engineering. I didn't make the discussion. Yeah. You're losing control of the So with the first part, where
All right. One thing I forgot to mention from before the break that I'll mention now is that whenever you're creating an object, notice how there's like a comma after each pair, right? Now, as of ES6, you can now include a comma after the last one. I just wanted to mention that minor point, but here's the backstory. It's an interesting backstory. So in the professional development world, coders would have to read code and then add something. So most likely they would put a comma and then they'd put their own, my function, whatever it is, right? But by putting the comma on this line, and when you store it to Git will say, okay, this user modified this line, therefore they're at fault if anything should go wrong with that code. And then a bunch of developers got mad because, yeah, but that wasn't my problem. I just put the comma there because my code is really this code. So then I think they changed it so that you can now put commas there, so as to avoid blame, which is kind of funny. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one, oop.html. So this is what you're going to need for the lab because you're going to create an object, you're going to create a constructor object, which looks a little bit different than what we've been used to, but it very similarly looks like what you've been used to in Java, because it's more and more looking like classes that we're doing. So step 1A. So first of all, let's just open up that page. Oop, there it is. Oop, there it is. Got it. Create a new object using a regular function. So let's create a new function, and this will be this first function here, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate the last thing I taught, but I'm gonna gradually get somewhere. So don't like memorize this style, but I'm gonna get somewhere with this one. Don't memorize this way of doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new person, and let's just say let object equals that, or I could just say const, I guess. Okay. So I created an empty object. I'm going, at the end of the function, I'm going to return that object. And here, I'm going to say object name equals Bob, whatever. Object greeting or greet function, and we'll put it in the output. So we'll just use this output here. We'll say output text content. I'm, and now we're going to use this .name. That's all. You just created a function. In that function, it creates an empty object. It eventually returns that object, but between it, assigns key value properties. Not a big deal, but notice also that it's using the word this. So this .name obviously refers to Bob. Okay, so let's run this. Refresh. Open the console. Let's run that function called create new person. Create new person. Parentheses to run it. There you go. I've been returned, right? I've been returned the object I created, name Bob, including the greeting itself. hopefully what I said just before the break, there should be some echoes of, aha, I know where you're going with this, Albert. This is the whole, what you talked about with the keyword new, right? There's three things that the keyword new does. It does this. It creates an empty object. It eventually returns that object, and then assigns the word this to that empty object. So that's step 1A. Forget 1A. That's just a, eventually I want to get to this. So JavaScript, instead of doing it the way I did here above, JavaScript allows you to do this. And notice now I'm going to use a capital P for the. So by convention, if you're going to create a constructor function, kind of like a class, then you would use the capital P. It would still work without it, but whatever. Now notice here, I'm not creating an empty object, because I'm going to leave that to the keyword new in a second. I'm going to pass it this one here. So where's this name coming from? It's going to come from what I passed to it here. Okay. And I'll say this dot greeting equals function, and I'll do the exact same thing. Output dot text content equals I'm name. But notice I'm not returning anything either. So this is all I'm going to write. It's very concise, right? So how would I use this? I'm going to use it the wrong way, and I'm going to use it the right way. The wrong way is I'm going to call this function just like normally, like any other function. I'm just going to call person, parentheses, pass in some string, and see what happens. The right way is I'm going to use the keyword new. Refresh. I'm going to call it person, whatever. Nothing happened. And why would you expect something to happen? All we did was assign this, and like it's returning nothing, it did nothing. Right? So that's the wrong way to do it. The right way is to use the word new. So again, the three things. It creates an empty object, it assigns the keyword this to that object, and it returns that object. So whenever you're saying in your JavaScript code new, the constructor function, just keep in mind those three things. Those three things, memorize those. Okay. Next thing, step 2B, use the console to create, oh yeah. So now, yes, I should be recording this part 2, yes. Let's just video manager. I should see another video. Oh, but I'm recording. Oh, you know what? If I stop recording, then I'll see. Here's a better way to test. It's gonna be like recursion, but thing about admin Blackboard, I can't even copy paste like that. Okay, I have to go into edit mode and then copy and paste, and then myself. There'll be feedback. There you go. I'm seeing myself. Great. Okay, so now that I have this, how do I properly use this new person? Easy. You just assign it to a normal variable. So if I said const p1 equals, I can now say person, y, and then I can say p2 equals new person. So if I say p1, it's now kawaii. If I say p2, it's now that. If I say p1.greeting, it worked. Oops, did I misspell it? Did I even have it? Oh wait, it's a text content, so it should appear. Right, so P1 greeting, P2 greeting. I'm Kyle. This is a game changer, right? This is like a class in Java. This is like a generator function. It's like I can generate multiple different kinds of. Okay, step 3A. Build a complete constructor. So now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to do the same thing I just did here, except I'm just going to add some more properties and stuff. Okay. Okay. So function person, and then this time I'm going to have a multitude of parameters here. So I'll say first name, last name, interests, which will be an array. So let's assign, and let me, where's her? Where's is she Gagandeep here? Wait, Gagandeep, right? No, wait, where's Gagandeep? No, she's not here. Okay. Shaista, you're next. Okay. So this is what I want, Shaista. I want an object where this dot name. Basically, I want it to look like this. Shaista. I want this. I want the name property to look like this. Like that. What do you think I should do up here? What was that? Oh, shoot. Oh, man. So Ramnik. Okay, Ramnik. Yes, sorry, I got the names confused. Yes, okay. Ramnik, what do you think? I want this kind of object for this dot name. What do you think? What does that equal to, do you think? Here's a question I have for you. What is this? So name, this is just a variable name, that equals to this. What, as soon as you see the squiggly bracket, what are you thinking? It's a, what kind of data type? Object, good. Therefore, if I say this dot name equals, what should I put after the equals? Yeah, squiggly bracket, right? So we're building out our object. Okay, great. And then if I want the first name to equal what was passed in the parameter, what should I say here? What's the key? Yeah. I'm gonna actually, I'm just gonna say first because I already have the name here. So that the reason is I'm eventually gonna say, p1.name.first. It makes sense rather p1.name.first name, which doesn't make sense. So just, yeah. Okay, what's after first? Colon and then first name. I'm assigning what was passed, which could be Albert, into here. So that when I say p1, for example, if I say p1.name.first, it'll give me Albert, right? So obviously, what would be last? All right, so that's great. I now have a name property. Let's add a job title or a job thing as well. So what do you think, Krista? What do you think? I want to add this job title and this job location into this object. So eventually, it's going to have the same kind of structure. It's going to be like that. That's what I want at the end of the day. What do I say here? What I want this one. Focus on this one. How do I get this? This job title. I'm already. What I'm doing here is I'm assigning job title. So I already got the job here by saying this job. So by saying this job, I've automatically created job : empty brackets, and so that I have an empty object. I want to fill that empty object with something, right? So I say title, for example, and then what comes after the colon? What's this? Passing in the job title, yeah. Okay. And then location will be location. Okay. All right, so I'm building out my thing here. And then finally, I'll say this dot interests, and it equals the array I've been. So in the end of the day, how I'm going to use this, I'm going to say, new person, and then in brackets, I'm going to pass in all the different parameters. Okay. By the way, and you'll learn this next week, this is an inefficient way in modern JavaScript to do this nowadays. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to say new person and pass in any number of parameters. And I want my function to be smart enough to know which one to pluck off and to provide a default value if none is given. And there's a way to do that, but I want to share that today, next week. Come next week to find out. All right. This interests. So let's do a greeting. So let's add a greeting function. Okay. And we'll just do a console log. Hi, I'm so Ramnik. How do I get? I want to say hi, I'm, and then the first name here. So what do I say here in this where my cursor is? What do I say to get this value? So pretend this was like kawaii or something. How would I get name dot name? No. So name dot first name. Nope. So this never want to refer to the right side. You always want to refer to the left side. So you're kind of on the right track. It's something dot first. But this one here would be incorrect. If I were to run it, would be some kind of error because it would not know where this name is coming from. What's the magic keyword that allows me to access everything inside? What was that? Person? Oh, that? No, only because I know what you're thinking, because I said it's kind of like that last time, but we're not dealing with a const person equals object. We're dealing with a function definition. The answer would be this. Let's test this out. Let's test this out. So I'm gonna say new person. I'm gonna pass in all these different things. Actually, let me just complete this sentence out for a second. So I'm gonna say, hi, I'm blah blah blah. Oops, hold on. This dot name dot first is what we want, right? And my interests are, and we'll put in this dot interests. Let's see what happens. So let's refresh that. Let's erase that. If I didn't even do anything like that. Actually, no. New person. I'm going to pass in, Bob. What was it? Last name, or whatever. Job title, librarian, whatever. Job location, Georgian, and finally an array of different things like cooking, cleaning, and fishing. I don't know. All right, I entered that in. So by entering that in, A1 should now give me a new person object. Person has everything that I passed in. So if I want to test this greeting, if I say A1.greeting, I'm Bob and my interests are that. That make sense? Let's see here. Let me skip that. This here is the method that you can use for your lab, for this week's lab, okay? Where you're defining a different kind of function called a constructor function. And it looks it should echo similarly to constructors in classes in Java, right? By the way, what I just taught you here, where you have a constructor function and then you say new person, for example, as of ES6, JavaScript came up with what I call syntactic sugar on top of this to make it do this without having to code this. And the answer is, this is week 13. This is week 13 stuff. The answer is classes. So in JavaScript, when you make a class, all you're really doing is this kind of thing under the hood. So under the hood, it's doing the function stuff, but you get to code the class stuff. So this is just syntactic sugar on top of this. And that's week 13 stuff. Okay, let's move on to step 4A. Alternatively, you can also create objects this way. Just like how I showed you object.keys, right, or object.values, you can say object, you can say this, you can say const car equals new object, or something like that. So by doing that, all you're really doing is doing that. That's what's really happening with it, right? You could say that, and then you could just add all your stuff to it, like car brand equals Honda, car year equals and whatever, car dot make equals Civic, whatever, and then card. We'll add a function there as well. Console.log. This dot brand year. Okay, let's try that. So by running this, I should have a object called car, and if I say car.blurb, I should be able to see something. So if I say car, do I see something? Yes, I see the whole object that was just created. If I say car.blurb and run it, there's the string output that I just created. Okay. And then finally, the last thing I just want to mention is you can also create an object like this. You can say, oh, this is what I want to say. Just like you have object.keys and object, you could say object.create. If I said const another car equals object.create, inside here I can pass it an object that I already had here. So I can pass it this object here, and it's going to create a very similar object. But I can add on top of that. So below this line, if I just say, you know, another car dot make equals sienna, or another car dot color equals blue, I should do that now. Refresh, another car, there. But notice, it just has the two. Where's the other stuff? Do you think it has blurb? I said another car dot blurb. Do you think it'll actually do something? Yeah, let's try it. Why? Where'd that come from? What was the answer? Photo, right? So here's all the stuff I originally had, but because through object.create, I can inherit, so to speak, all of that other stuff and just add some more. So it's kind of similar to like inheritance in Java, which you already know, right? Yes? So that is it for oop.html. Let's see, 241. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the lab. And I had a little bit of fun with this one. I'm going to show you the original lab, and then I'm going to show you what I want. Okay, so let's just see the original instructions that Scott gave. It says here, create a JavaScript function, which is basically your constructor function, that permits the creation of a hamburger object. And you can, you know, so at the end of the day, you could say const h1 equals new hamburger, and you can pass it all kinds of different garnishes and stuff. I'm changing that to something else. So if you download lab 8, here, lab 8. And we'll do this in class up to a certain point. But I want you to try to figure out the really fun stuff yourself. And I've designed this lab to help you prepare for assignment number 3, which is the slide puzzle. So this is what I created this morning. It's not complete. It gives you the infrastructure, but it's up to you to make it happen. Okay? So what's going to happen is you press restart if you want.
May I take your order?
Whatever. And then you're going to gradually click on these things. So whenever you click on one of these things, what you're really doing is you're adding different things to the hamburger, right? So if this is like a new hamburger, you're just adding different things. So, you know, hamburger dot meat equals beef, or, you know, whatever you choose, whatever you want. What I want you to do is, as you're clicking through each one, it'll display here, just like, if you're going through a drive-through, like Tim Hortons drive-through, it'll display your options that you've chosen here. Real fun stuff, to help you prepare for assignment number 3, is I've included an animation software called TweenMax. So let me just, and what's eventually gonna happen is I want you to like do some kind of simple animation where the things will fall into place. So all the ingredients are up top, and as you click something, it'll just fall into place, then layer after layer after layer, okay? Let me introduce you to a couple of things I've been using here. Number 1, in terms of the CSS framework, I found this really fun one a couple of weeks ago that reminded me of the old Nintendo system, nes.css, and that's what I'm using here. So if you want to take advantage of the classes for that, that's what I'm using here for everything. Number 2 is I'm going to introduce you to the best animation library that's out there for JavaScript developers called GreenSock. So let me just show you how to use this. Let me see if there's a learn about GSOP. Getting started. I want getting started. Putting GSOP. Okay. All right. So basically, what you do is you grab this script. Okay. Let's just index2.html. Right. You paste in that script. There it is. Okay, h1 hello world. Okay, let's load that page. Index2. There it is. Okay, great. So in your script, let's just make a script here. You can say const h1 equals document vector or oh my goodness, select h1. Let's just test that. Is so now to use it, the most basic use case is you can say this TweenMax. So where is this coming from? This is coming from this library here called TweenMax. And you're going to say .2. .2 means wherever the element you want to move is currently sitting at, you're going to move it to the following coordinates. So you have to pass in 3 things. Number 1, you're going to pass in the DOM element, which is h1. Number 2, you're going to pass in the number of seconds. So I'm going to make this happen in 1 second. And number 3, you're going to pass in an object. And this object can have any number of variable parameters. The most simplest use case is the xy coordinates. So you could have xy, x 200. So move 200 pixels to the right, move 400 pixels down, and it should work. So I'm doing this on the hello world. Let's see if it moves. Moved, right? That's similar to your assignment 3, where things are moving, slide pieces are moving. That's it. That's assignment number 3, right? Now you know how to use TweenMax for assignment number 3. So what I want you to try to do, and let me try to open my what I tried to do this morning, which was lab 8. So this is how far I got. I don't know, actually, is this working? Yeah, okay, this is how far I got. So I click on beef, the thing comes down, chicken, layers on top of that, mustard, ketchup, you get the point. And on the right-hand side, you're labeling what's happening. So that's what I want you to do. Sort of like those games, like Burger Queen app, when it's kind of like that. I just wanted to make it fun for you guys and to get you prepared for assignment number 3. So how are you going to do this? Let's look at the assignment again. You're going to create a constructor function. And every time you click a button, like chicken, you're going to add that to, where'd my thing go? Hold on. Right. Okay. So this is when you download on Blackboard the zip file, you get all of this HTML, and then the actual JavaScript is here. So I've given you this JavaScript to begin with. So it's not a lot, right? And I've given you this. this array called ingredients. So what's going to happen is, whenever you click a button, the button will add a new element here, like lettuce. And you click another button, it'll be ketchup, for example. Whatever, you don't have to have strings in there. In fact, I would probably encourage you to use an array of objects, which is what assignment 3 is all about anyway. So here, the first object, you could have, name lettuce, y coordinate 200, something like that. And then the second one, name ketchup. Whatever you want. Okay. But this is basically the infrastructure I'm giving you, and this is the same infrastructure as assignment number 3, where I'm giving you an array, and in that array, it'll be an array of objects with different coordinates. I'll just help you with assignment number 3. Okay? And so at the end of the day, even if you don't get this working, which is I consider a bonus. So notice here in the challenge is 5 bonus marks awarded if you can incorporate the drive-through experience where the user verbally, that's okay, never mind, hold on, I'll get back to that. That's something else. At the end of the day, you will pass if you can just at least click something and it'll add it to the array, so that when I go to your console and look at the ingredients array, I see everything that I clicked on. And it doesn't matter to me how you choose to do this, but again, the assignment, the lab did ask you to create a constructor function like this. Okay, so try to stick with this. So even if I don't see anything here and here, if I at least console log ingredients, I at least see something here. That's really the meat of coding. Okay, everything else is just a consequence of this stuff. As long as you get the infrastructure right, then you can possibly get this right. But I just care about this right now. This is just for fun. If you want to do something with that. Notice I didn't do anything for the burgers. I'll leave it up to you how you want to leave it up for the buns for the burgers. I don't know how you want to implement that. If you want that to show immediately first and then everything later, whatever you want to do. What else did I want to say? So to get perfect for this lab, all I'm asking for is ingredients. As long as I see ingredients array looking like this, I'm happy. This is just the fun stuff, but I will award you bonus marks for this. However, here's the real fun stuff, and this is getting into some more browser APIs. So I gave you a link called CodePen. So this is one of my CodePens when I was experimenting with another class. And this is all the code you need to have the browser recognize what you're saying. And notice how, as I'm talking, the microphone on my laptop is picking up what I'm saying and outputting it on the screen. So you could imagine, yeah. Now, obviously, it's not going to correctly recognize all the words, so it could be kind of funny. But you may have to account for that. So maybe in this switch, for example, if I'm saying case double double, and maybe in my testing I find out, oh, the browser is thinking I'm saying something else, I can have maybe another case like bubble bubble, and so whatever it thinks I'm saying, it's going to do the code I want. You could do something like that. But imagine the vision I have is for this lab is, imagine you can verbally say beef, and not only will it display here, it'll act appropriately here. That's the real fun stuff that I find. So that's 5 for 5 bonus marks. You don't have to do it. Again, you'll get perfect if at least you get the ingredients. But if you get this, you'll get even more bonus marks, because I think it's the fun stuff. Okay. So it's 3 o'clock. It's top of the hour. Let's take another quick break, and then we'll start coding this so that you will get the ingredients. So at least I'm hand holding you, so you'll get the ingredients. And then for this fun stuff, it's up to you. Okay. All right. So we'll take a quick 15-minute break. And then we can get onto that.
this assignment, the second assignment, this one. You said like you can't find it
Yes.
over there, right? And it was showing like this. Actually, it was over here, but when I opened it, and it was not showing the picture and all. Actually, first I uploaded assignment over here, right?
Okay.
Then I deleted it because I added some more things. Then I again uploaded the assignment and like now, yeah. Then I uploaded this.
Okay, double click that.
Yeah.
Is it there?
Yeah, no, it's not here right now, but I put it on here first. So now when I upload it, everything doesn't get uploaded. Like when you open it, you can see the picture and all. And then the transfer is finished. I don't know. Is it? So now it's uploaded. But like I was trying it from a lot of days, so it was not uploaded. I see like this failed and failed. So when I open it, it doesn't show all the things over there. So I also submitted you the file. I also submitted you zip file.
Okay, I'll take a look at the zip file, but this is what I'm saying about it has to be hosted, right? Because all my
Yeah.
assignments has to be hosted, otherwise zero.
Yeah.
Because what good is it if you graduate from this program and you can't even
Yeah, I
upload,
know.
right? So I'll take a look at the zip file. What's your name again?
Remake.
I'll take a look at the file again. Okay, but it won't be full marks though. Is I expected that to happen
Yeah,
at the
but
due date. I'll look at it again.
I will show you again to the class, like what the things are not shown over there and all. I put it over there first, like I don't know why it was not uploaded.
But that's what I want. I want you to figure that out before you hand it in, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear the excuses. Like I don't know. Like every semester I'll hear excuses, but if you're graduating from this program, you're expected to know how to do this, right? So yeah, this is third semester. I expect a higher standard. If it was first semester, then maybe I'd let it go and maybe I'd give you full marks for the zip file. But this is third semester. I need a higher standard. So I'll look at your zip file and give you 5 marks. That's the best I can do.
Okay.
Thank you for your feedback on this thing.
Okay.
I just want to thank you for.
I forgot what I said, but okay, you're welcome.
About the, oh my God. Yeah, in week learning, I can find week 7 and 6, all the previous weeks, like disappeared.
Oh, I know. Did you need them? I can, because I hid them because I thought we don't need them anymore. Why do you need them?
Just leave them to the next week. I can just download whatever I missed.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there, did you want all of them or a particular one?
Actually, I wanted like the last two before the midterm.
Which one?
Last two before the midterm.
So week 6, week 5?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, so let me walk you through lab 8, and then this will be done in class, and then even if you hand this in, you get perfect, but if you want to challenge yourself for those other stuff, you can do that too, and you'll get bonus marks. So let's try this out. So I've given you this template in the JavaScript, and the first step is to create the constructor function, okay? So at the end of the day, what's going to happen is in the code, if I click a button, somewhere in my code, I'm going to eventually say new ingredient, and I'm going to pass in beef. Somewhere in my code, I want to say that. And then the result of that will be ingredient object with name, beef, maybe maybe a couple of other things here, which I'll leave it up to you to decide whether you want an XY coordinate or if you want a node, because I did pass here a node of something, but I don't think you need that necessarily. So I'll be happy with just the name, okay? So this is what I want you to try to do. I want in the next few minutes, I want you to develop this function, and it really is as simple as one line of code for all I'm looking for this. Okay. And you know what? Forget the node part. Let's take away that parameter. Fill in the one line of code to make this happen. Like 1 minute. Fill in the one line of code to make this happen. So that I get this object once I say new ingredient beef. Nice. This dot name equals name. Let's test it out. Oh, I did want to say this too. So this is totally an aside. In terms of testing, you may find it kind of tedious to always go, like the way I've been doing it is I've been opening up a new tab, going into my console, testing it in here. There's a better way. Let me show you the better way. In Visual Studio Code, there's an extension. If you go click on extensions, search for something called Quokka. This one right here. This allows you to test JavaScript right in your Visual Studio Code tab, so you don't have to always go to your console log. Let me show you how it works. I've already installed it. Let me show you. So once you've installed it, this is how it works. In your Visual Studio Code, I just say Control-Shift-P to get the menu open, Control-Shift-P. And then I just type in Quokka, which is, and I'm looking for this new JavaScript file. Okay. Now, this extension requires or depends upon the fact that you already previously installed Node, which you did in this class in week 1 or week whatever. So I'm going to say new JavaScript. I'm going to click on new JavaScript file. I have this new tab, so check it out. I can now say, let a equals apple, and then I'll say console log a, and there, oops, okay, and there it is. I see the output in my Visual Studio Code. I no longer have to open a new tab in my browser to find out if something works. Okay. Cool. So that is for your benefit. You can use that for tests and stuff. All right. How did I do that? So step 1 is you have to click on this extensions icon. Step 2, search for Quokka. And once you click on the Quokka.js, you will click on install. And then once you installed it, I believe it says reload. So just click on reload. Once that's installed, you're going to say Control-Shift-P to get the menu. This menu, by the way, you can search for anything on here, right? So you can search for files, like your index. Oh, sorry, it's just commands. Never mind. And then so you're going to search for Quokka. You're going to click on new JavaScript file. You get this. Let a equals some object. A is true. B is 32. Whatever. Console log a. There it is. So that's a nice, nifty way to test something. You don't have to necessarily open up your browser console. You'd like that. OK, so let's test this new ingredient out. So if I say new ingredient and pass in some kind of thing, I should get an object. Here, where did I place that? I think I placed it on my desktop under week 8, under lab 8, there. OK, so if I say new ingredient, and I'll pass in beef, let's see what I get. Oh, look at that. I get an object with the name beef. Great. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to take advantage of this array, because I want you to push that entire object that you just created into this array, so that at the end of the day, each button click will have a bunch of objects. But for the next 5 minutes, and we'll take it up. So basically, what I want you to happen is if I click on beef, or if I click on chicken, that object beef chicken will now be added to the array. Try that for the next 5 minutes. And then once you've done that, that's basically perfect on the lab 8. It's up to you to do the fun stuff if you want bonus marks. This is the fundamental thing. If you get this right, then you can get the bonus fun stuff right. Take 5 minutes. Oh yeah, based on the conversation that I just heard from you. Yeah. Okay. So one of two solutions to get that button working. You could either have like a whole bunch of button beef equals document dot query selector, beef, whatever it is, and then have like one for each food item, one for chicken. You could either have that, which I don't recommend, or you could have something like this. Buttons equals document dot query selector all, and then something there. What do you think? Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll okay, let's take this up. Let's just take this up first, because if you won't be able to get the stuff I'm asking if you don't have this set up right now. So let's walk through this. Okay, so I want all the buttons, and when I look at the HTML, I could say just give me all the buttons in the section or the inside the aside tag is what I want. Okay, now I want to add click events for all of them. How do I do that? In this next line. So food buttons dot what? What do you think? What was that? For each, yeah, let's try that. So for each button, I'm using arrow functions here. That's okay. Button, and I'll teach arrow functions officially next week. ES6 stuff. So for each button, let's add the click list event listener. And every time that particular button is clicked, it's going to run a function. We'll call our function called build burger, which we have yet to define. Let's define that. I'll just put it here for now, just so that visually you can see what's going on. Although typically I would probably write that function along with these other functions. But visually, let's put it here. But then I'd say this function build burger. Let's make a comment here. This function will store the ingredient pressed into the array ingredients. Okay. Let's just console log this, just to see what we're working with. So I'm going to refresh the page. I'm going to click on a random button. I should see something in the console. Let's see what happens. Refresh. I'm going to click on beef. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, hold on. Working with a node list. Does node list? Oh, it does have for each. Okay, so that should work. Never mind. That should have worked. Add event listener, build burger. So log this. So why didn't it work? Side button. My console. Oops. Yeah, I should have picked it up. Say console log hi. Make sure it's going into that function. Not even going to that function. So what something's even more wrong? Say that again. Oh, so I'm just overwriting what I just wrote. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So let's put that down here. That's what happened when you over. So yeah. Anyways, never mind. So let's console log this. All right. Let's try that. Good. All right, and notice how I put in the HTML itself, I put the data dashed. And do you remember what I said before the reading week? How we can access any data dash attribute. What's the magic keyword in JavaScript to access any data dash attribute once you grab the DOM element? It's what? Something dot whatever. Remember? Here, check this out. So if I said this dot data set, let's just see what that gives. Giving me the data set itself is giving me an object of whatever is in the data dash. So if I want now a specific beef string, then I'll say data set dot choice to get just the beef, right? So choice, data set choice, beef, chicken, whatever. Okay, cool. So I want you to now take advantage of the fact that I built the infrastructure. Now it's do what I originally asked, is push your, whatever I clicked on, create a new ingredient of that and push it into the array ingredients. So now that the infrastructure is there, make that happen for 5 minutes. Go. So at the end of the day, if I say ingredients, I should see something, an object, array of different things. Right. Nothing is supposed to appear here. Nothing yet. I just want the infrastructure. Get the infrastructure, then you can worry about the visual stuff later. Anyone get it? It's 4 lines of code. Oh, sorry, 2 lines. 2 lines of code. Okay, so let's do this. For build burger versus create new ingredient object. So who wants to guess what this one is if you haven't done it already? Anyone? Anyone want to try? Yeah, sorry. Ingredients dot push. Yeah. New ingredient bracket. Okay, you did it in 1 line. Very good. Here we go. That's one way to do it. So if I run this, let's try it. Refresh. If I click on beef. Okay, first of all, I won't click on anything. Let me just say ingredients. Oh, by the way, here's another cool tip. In Chrome, see this eyeball right here? What you could do is, because I don't want to keep on saying ingredients to see what's in there. Check this out. I click on the icon, boop. I type in ingredients here, enter. And now it'll dynamically show what's in the array, and I never have to touch the console ever again. So if I click on beef, There's ingredient. Oh shoot! It doesn't tell me the So I'm clicking away. Okay, so I guess I do have to do the ingredients because I want to see the details if I got the right names, and I did. Right. Cool. Hand that in for lab 8. You get perfect. But I challenge you to try to do the fun stuff. So now that you have your array of ingredients, try to make either this or this happen. Have fun with it. Right. Try to make the verbal stuff happen. So take my code pen that I showed you where it's using the microphone, take that, incorporate that. Have fun with it. Okay? But if you wanted just the perfect mark and just let it go, I'm fine with that. Okay? So that is the end of class. Let me just double check. Yeah, show the code again. Yeah, there it is. So that is the end of class. Let me just double check if there's anything else I want to say. Week. Oh yeah. Okay, this is I got so my very first time I taught here, a student emailed me recently and saying she got a job, and I was asking her about how they interviewed for her job for this JavaScript role, and she said she had to do a test. She gave me the test questions that they asked her for the job interview. Would you like to see them? I can say you could probably do 4 out of 5 of them right now. No. Go. There it is. There it is. Download. Okay, so they gave her this HTML file. Let's look at the source here. First, write a function that takes a number and generates a list from 0 to that number. Use the function to assign a value to the variable myNumberList so that it has the value of a list, so basically an array, going from 0 to 5. Okay. That's relatively simple. You could create a for loop, right? Kind of thing. It increasingly gets harder. Number 2, write a function that takes a list of people and gives us back a new list with only the first names of people between the ages of 30 and 50. Just by reading the question and what I've taught you so far, especially with dealing with the array methods that I've taught you so far, what 2 array methods are you immediately going to think of this question? The hint number 1. When it says that takes a list, when you see list, think array. That takes an array and gives us back a new array with only the first. So the question I have is, the array that I get back, will it be the same number of elements that was originally put in? Yes or no? Yes. Therefore, what array method that I taught you should you immediately be thinking? That takes an array and outputs the same number of array, same elements, same number of elements in an array. It basically, yeah, what is it? Map, right? Good. So basically, you're going to take in an array. Here's they give you this array here, right? You're going to use a map, and then you're going to filter. You're only going to output another array with just the first names, and map can easily do that, right? But they add another level of difficulty. They only want ages of 30, 50. What array method are you now thinking? Which I just mentioned. Filter. So your code will basically be .map code .filter code, or actually probably the reverse. .filter first to get the ages, and then .map to output the names. Right? Next question. That's question 2. Write a function that groups people's first names by pet type. Please do not import any. Okay, so I haven't taught you reduce yet. So the three big array methods are map, filter, and reduce. I haven't taught you reduce, but when you see this, You're given an array, and your output is just one thing. So whenever you see a question that says you're given an array, and the output is just one thing, that's reduce. Okay? And we'll get into that next week. Consider this code. Currently, when the code is run, we get 8 as a result. What changes would have to be made to get 3 instead? Please elaborate on your answer. I think this has to do with hoisting or something overwriting something else. Yeah, because you have 2 function bars, right? One there, one there. And basically, this last one, just like how I just made the mistake today, this last one overrides this one. And that's why you get 8 as a result, because it returns 8. So the question is, how do you get 3 instead? And there's a number of possibilities, but you have to explain your way with weird words how to do that, and probably why, is my guess. The last question. Given the array of uncalled functions, so they give you this list. So they give you this array of functions. So each element in the array is an arrow function, right? So you have to run them each one at a time based on what they want. So they say they want to run. Oh, they want to run every other function, which means run this, skip that, run this, skip that, and you're passing in the result of this, whatever num times 2 is, you're passing that to this guy, and they're going to keep on going and going and going until you get a result. That also has to deal with what? You're given an array, you want one thing, what should you use? I just said it. Reduce, right? You're given an array of something, and they want one thing, think reduce, okay? So maybe next week, when I teach you reduce, I'll go over this again, and then you can be prepared for future jobs. Okay. So that is the end of the class. Any other final questions, comments, question? Yes? No? Okay. All right. So that's the end of the class. Code again? Yes. Go ahead. And I'll turn off the YouTube.